Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be having a very chill, relaxing, some would say therapeutic video. And the topic is an in-depth cleaning of your Glock pistol, any type of Glock pistol. But before I begin, I'd like to send a big thank you out to everyone who's liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate and always enjoy talking to you guys. But if you're new here to the channel, welcome. If you enjoy this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and/or subscribing. And with the PR out the way, let's get into it. So, I wanted to just make this video as just again obligatory. There's millions of them out there, and this is just how I do it. And I figured it's my channel, so I might as well just add something right for it. And about Glocks and how to in-depth clean them. Now, but what kind of sparked this as well was this Glock 26 here I just recently purchased, and it's a police trade-in. So for those guys that don't know, police trade-ins, whenever a department decides they want to refresh their guns, get rid of them, what have you, they basically, auction them off, listen to a wholesaler, and then they go to like Aim Surplus or Eurooptic or wherever, right? And then they go to the public. And generally they are fairly well kept. They're not used usually, or hopefully, right, hopefully not used. And the most you ever see with them is holster wear, but you'll see a lot of pocket lint, a lot of grime, considering, whenever someone gets issued their sidearm, they usually have that one for the entire of the time of their stay or career, what have you. But then they do change them out, but in either case they always function, but they sometimes need like a little TLC. And considering, I used to say my OCD just flares up when I don't have the guns pristine, and you get a gun that you don't know where it came from. It's just nice to have that in-depth cleaning. And I would recommend this practice for any guns or any gun, any used guns. I say that you get, and any new guns as well, because it gets you're very get you in tune with your firearm and get you to know the ins and outs of it and all the little intricacies. And I'll say, as far as cleaning goes and breakdowns, Glocks are generally the easiest. But with that whole spiel out the way, stick around. It's going to be a bit of a long video. It's going to kind of be talking, chilling, skip around if you like. And yeah, we're going to get into it. So, of course, the gun is safe, right? Nothing in the mag, nothing inside. We're good to go. The tools you'll need is, and again, I am not doing this in the official procedural way. People get very technical, like they have all these specs, but I kind of just like to have the layman version of what it works, right? Is a large but skinny flathead screwdriver, small hammer. You also need a punch of some sort. I know this is not a punch, this is a precision screwdriver, but again, just showing what can be used. Just has a very broad, flat tip on there, and then a pair of precision pliers. So generally all you need to be able to get every single piece down. Don't let it, the breakdown be a daunting task. But looking at the gun here, you can kind of see the before. If I can get the focus to focus. So you can see there, a lot of grime, just a lot of general filth around it. Nothing too egregious, right? Inside looks clean overall speaking, but yeah, it's definitely a used gun. Has other people's skin on it and things like that. It's just good to get rid of that. So let's start by breaking the gun down. So you just pull these little two tabs here. You guys know the Glock procedure. Oh, you pull the trigger after it's cocked. Obviously, we already verified it's safe. So we got the frame, and you got the barrel slide. I usually like to do the barrel last. That's just my personal preference, because the slide the frame takes a bit more. So I'm just gonna put that off to the side here. And here we go, we got our frame. So I start with taking the safety out, safety, gosh darn it. Again, it's a very relaxing video here, informal. You start by taking the magazine release out. You see there, it's a little spring, and you'll see on the inside, there's a little tiny catch. What I like to do is I come up from the top, take your long screwdriver. This is kind of hard doing it through the video, right? But I like to get down here and just be careful so you don't, scratch or mess anything up here. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to put it to that spring. You're going to keep tension on this side of the mag release. You're going to push until it pops through that slot, and then you're going to rotate the screwdriver like such to basically have it popped out. So it's going to look like this. So as I go in, and try and do this through a video. The easiest. Come on. And there you go. You can see as we pushed over, popped it up. Then there you have your little magazine tensioner. Take your needle or your pliers, going from the top. Get a nice good grab. Pull straight out. Have it fling across the room. I told you it's gonna be informal. And then you're gonna have your little tensioner here, and it just fits down there in like a little tiny slot. So nothing too crazy. So put that on the side. You'll have about like 4 or 5 different parts after you're all said and done with the frame. Magazine, dump straight out. Magazine release. So now you're going to have these couple pins here. So this is a Gen 4 Glock, so it's going to have a 2-pin system here. I recommend taking the upper pin out and then the lower pin. The upper pin is basically just for your slide release, and it's holding that spring down, as you can see right inside there. So just drive it out. You don't need a punch, so you usually don't need any type of hammer. You just push through. I like to push from this side over. Just get a nice little grab on it. Pull it out. Just get this part. You can generally pull it out, and you'll see there. There is your magazine release or slide release. Gosh darn it! I swear my naming nomenclature is all messed up. But you see, it's definitely worn. The finish is kind of worn there. You just peel that off. Nothing too major. These are just kind of coated black pins. You can replace these. I'm not going to in this one, just because it's a non-really critical part. But as you see, that's why you take these guns apart, right? Because like little things like that are starting to just wear and fail. Okay, so look it through here. Take the second bigger pin out. Now you can go from either side. This one is usually a bit stiffer. Sometimes you can just give it a good old push through, but it's not going. So grab something. I have just here some soldering wire. Grab something that has a hole through the center of it. You can line it across. You can use a roll of duct tape, what have you. Again, layman. So just gonna grab it here, give it a couple good whacks. I'll smack my camera. There you go. A few good thorough whacks. You don't gotta worry about hurting it. It's gonna push through there. Take your pliers. Give it a good grab. Proper guy would, be able to drive it all the way through. But here you go. Now you have your locking block trigger pin. Take that out, move that side. And now you could take this, you take your slide release out. You see here, definitely a bit grimy. Put that to side. Get your locking block, take flathead, and then stick it in the front, and then just pry up. It comes up at a 45-degree angle. There's your locking block. Just giving a quick visual inspection off camera. Just looking inside, making sure there's no plastic being deformed or anything like that. So looks all good here. Then finally, the last step, take your rear pin out. This one's just plastic. Very kind of cheap plastic it feels. You can almost pull it out with your fingers sometimes. Take that inside. You don't got to worry about the 3 pins. There's only in those pins, you can't mix them up. They only go in one particular place, and you'll know if you did it wrong. And then just grab a little tang here. Sometimes the trigger pack in the back gets a little bit stuck. Grab up on the lip here, pull it up. Boom, you have a trigger out. And now you have your fully disassembled Glock frame with just your rails. The slide release or the disassembly, I don't usually mess with that unless there's some type of issue there, but just like to leave that because I don't want to have to worry about it. If you ever do want to take it out, you just basically push down that little metal tab there and it slides out. But that's a part that I just don't mess with because it's more tedious than what it's worth, right? And then you have your trigger assembly here. What I like to do is take your trigger assembly, pull forward, rotate out and up. It's a little bit of a fine ballet here. There you go. Rotate up and out. And once you do, again, it's a little tricky. Then you have your connector here, which you can just pull this straight out. I'm not going to. I just leave it because again, the least amount I have to disassemble to get it to where I feel like it's cleaned, the better. But then you can take this and you take the little spring, take it out. But there's really nothing inside there. But you do have access to all like the little surfaces here and can clean it. And you see, it is dirty, but it isn't really fouled up. Whoever had this definitely took good care of it. Just had a lot of pocket lint, right? It smells like Febreze or laundry detergent, right? So definitely concealed carry somewhere. Magazines, you can disassemble these as well. People, they are a wear item, but they are maintenance. They do require some maintenance. Maintenance being just basically pop the plate, pull the spring out. I don't for my mags. That's just me. As to each his own, right? And now you have your frame. So of your bare frame here, I usually like to take some just standard isopropyl alcohol here. You can use whatever you like. I recommend staying away from paper towels because they do leave like little microfibers that just kind of can affect the finish or just look ugly. I take my little cotton swabs here I use for barrel cleaning. Small, they're easy. Take a little bit, douse it up, and then just give a general thorough clean on the inside. Now, some people can use CLP. I go through after I'm done using the rubbing alcohol. And go through with a fine tooth comb with the CLP just to oil any surfaces. But for this, again, we are wanting to um, we're wanting to get rid of all the pocket get rid of everything that's um, just looking gunky. And as you see there, we are getting some little bits out. Okay, as I get some other little solvents here. Cool, just another little douse. Again, we're just taking it, we're cleaning a lot of the little gunk and grime out. Feel free to fast forward through any like little bit of this. Get some type of tool like this one here, and every like little tiny crevice. See there, getting a little bit out, a little bit of carbon, some lint, just general gunk, grime, goo, what have you. And visually, just look at it. See, it's pretty clean already. Not too bad. So you got some gunk on the rails there. Some cotton pieces. Just run it through there. Clean up those rails. Oh, look at that! You can actually see being Gen 4, it still has some of the copper anti-seize that Glock uses when new factory pistols. So, well, copper stuff's pretty good. It's held on for this dang long. And his gun's probably about I'd say about maybe 10-ish years old. You can decode with the serial number and all that, but sometimes it's harder on the newer guns. In which case, people just say, "Oh, just call Glock." So, you take the frame, body. They're just gonna clean out that trigger groove, trigger guard. Just gonna give it a good full rub down. You can see we're getting like little grime, what have you. And then comes the funner part. So just wiping down all the little surfaces around the edge, people's body oils and grease and grime and whatever have been. Then go over the grip a little bit, over the front. I was saying, wait a minute, he's not really doing that area too clean because one thing you will need as well, or have an old toothbrush here. I have just a little cleaning bristle. Reason why you want to go over like these little grooves here is because whenever you get real close, as you see, because they're made to grip, sometimes you'll see on these little pyramids, there's like dead skin cells, um, so it's good just to kind of grime it out. You see there, I got a little bit of solvent on there. I showed this in my brush I use for CLP, so no bad having like a little bit of oil on there. Grime that out. On the side. We're just trying to loosen up any type of human remnants that may be there that aren't mine. Okay, and then the back strap holes here, just that area, a little grime. Like I said, just a kind of a boring video, but necessary one. And if I can add maybe one extra for one person, um, and so be it. It's also good to know because, as you saw there, it's very easy to take apart a Glock, but it's because after doing it for so many times, you get to know your gun inside and out, which is always a good thing. Uh, and why not do it on a gun that you really don't have any attachment to yet? Then I'm gonna take that rubbing alcohol, get this wet, go through it again. So after we loosen it up first with a little the bristles and everything, I'll go back through, and we'll see here. Again, it looks fairly clean, right, to the eye. So I'm gonna go back through. Yeah, that brush did have some grime on it, I know. Um, that here, you'll see just a little bit of like brown tinge. Some I could have been from the bristles in the brush, but like to say, almost always it's the human skin factor. So okay, I'm just try to grab this little pin across, and now we're gonna do the the inverse. Cap the rubbing alcohol, and we're going to go to the slide next. So you can see here, frame is now fairly clean. Obviously, just some rubbing alcohol needs to evaporate a little bit, but see, good as factory new. Yeah, we're through. Oh, forgot that part. uh, got too involved in my own self here. You know, it's different when you're doing it by yourself. You're just thinking about everything versus when you're trying to do it on video. So just gonna go here. Just gonna get that inside that magwell. Get every like little bit down here. Go through. Okay. And then we're gonna get that little bit of grime that was on the back here for the back strap. So I take a little tool here and just something to get down in there. All that, whatever that is, dirt, human skin, what have you. Some people will run it all the way through. I don't think it's necessary. Just give like a good little blowout. You know, but still smells like fabric softener, but that's okay. At least for now. A bunch of get worked in. And then just looking real close here, guys. You see there's like a little bit there. Just really force inside those grooves. Get that little bit out. Okay, now it is clean. uh, so, okay, and now that the frame is nice and squeaky clean, we'll start with the individual little parts here. So, going to rubbing alcohol again, malt dash, cap that because we won't need a lot. Just like again, take two of these. I'm just gonna go through all like the little parts, clean them off. So you get like a little carbon that was here. And you can use CLP if you like. I just do it because this strips off everything. And then I put my own solvents, everything like that, because what I've noticed and heard of some people have happen is might be a grease or might be something that's already pre-existing there. And your solvent might take it off and then it's under solvented and all this other crap. But just going through here. Again, for the layman, nothing too precise here. Nothing too crazy. Just getting the broad strokes of it. Getting the slide release a little bit. Some of these parts shouldn't even be oiled anyway. And if you over oil, it just leads to a place for gunk, grime, debris, what have you, to be able to catch on. Except for I said again, for a police trade-in, this gun was either very lightly used, kept in a somewhat clean environment of someone's pants, or was cleaned before shipping it off. In a perfect world, though, I would replace this this pin here, but it's a Glock. Won't hurt it. Clean off those little pins there. Clean off a little bit. Okay. So now we have reassembly. So we're just going to take your trigger housing here. And you're going to basically just slide at a 45, slide in, and you're trying to basically hook that edge into there. And there you go. Again, this is for a Gen 4. You see now, it's locking there. It's in the correct position. Cool. So we're good to have that. Take our nice clean frame here, up in the rear, get your shoe in the front, generally push down. Okay. Make sure the trigger is seated in there nice. Trigger pack's in the rear. Take your very plastic pen. Make sure you look through the holes. Drive it through. Get your little punch here. This doesn't require tapping, just needs a gentle push. Line it up even between so it's not protruding out either side. Okay. And ever so slightly. Yep. Nice and clear there. I'm going to take our trigger shoe slash locking block pin, put that down. Get ready for that. Take your locking block, slides into the little grooves here. Slides down there like so. And take your pin, make sure everything is looking kind of lined up. Get it somewhat started. Take your slide release, drop it down. Don't worry about the spring just yet. It fits in the little, fits in the crack, fits in that little crack recess that you see right there. Just put that there. Nice and easy. Get it to line up. It's going to go under the locking block like so, but not yet for the pin. So that's in the right position when it fits in that little notch right there. And we can see we are cleared through. So just give it a good little push. It's going to slide right in. And then you'll actually feel it index in between. So, it's there when you push on the pin on either end, and it moves ever so slightly, but it doesn't actually pop out. So it's fully seated there. Take a trigger, pull that forward, make sure that little mechanism works. Which does. Take this, hold your trigger bar, push, make sure it goes recess, push forward, make sure it locks. Cool, good there. Take your slide release spring, push that in a little bit. You'll see that there's the spring that is catching on it right there. I'll be showing real clear. Yeah, you kind of see how it's stopped by the spring. So you're going to push that spring down so that way the pin can go across. So take your little tool here, push that down on the front lip. You can see as we captured it. And then we're just going to, again, line it up. Now, this pin does not index, just holds on there under friction. Does not index like the locking block. So just make sure it's nice and even between two. Pull bar forward. Cool, we're good there. Now the magazine release. You're just going to take that magazine release and lefty righty, or depending, right? You have this way or have it this way, but you're going to funnel it through like this for right-handed. So it's going to slide on through. Probably, hopefully, maybe. But I'll tell you what, if a magazine release, there you go. Biggest issue, boy. So you see it's through there, and then you're going to take your pliers, take your little magazine release tensioner, grab it by the tip, and you're gonna slide it down into that notch there. So now one key thing is you don't want to slide it down too far because you can slide it down way too far in the grip to where you aren't able to actually move it in that slot. But if you slide it too far up, then you won't be able to move it over. So then you take your screwdriver again, and we're just going to move that bar over. And hard to do on camera, but trying to show you guys. You see there, snaps in. That's good. It's pretty high up, so we have good spring tension. It is locked down there. Make sure it does go into that little pocket there. And now your magazine release. Sure it works. Positive retention, locked in, good to go. So now your frame is cleaned. Good. Set that to the side. Now we're gonna do your slide. So just moving some stuff out the way here. So slide. Don't worry, we're gonna come back and oil everything. Oiling's the last step. I like to do oil and then wipe down and call it done. Take out your recoil spring. Take out your barrel. One knows how to do that. Cool. Now you have your slide. I do not go as far as like drifting out the sights and taking that off. Just give a good thorough clean to the area. You can see there though we do got a little bit of grime. I've noticed all the Gen 4s too. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have seen this as well. But of the damn it, the firing pin block, I've noticed that it starts to like flake off and get some weirdness in there. But in either case, again, use gun, but it's gonna work. Take your little tool here, and you see there's a little sleeve there. Push down on that sleeve as you're pushing down here. So we'll push down, and we'll push down here, and cover. Keep your thumb on there, and then release slowly. Now you have your back plate off. And then you can slide out your firing pin. slide out your extractor spring, your extractor. You just push down on your firing pin block and it will drop out usually. Sometimes you got to kind of finagle and wiggle it out, but it will almost always come out, especially when you take out this. You can get this out without taking out this, but it's usually just a pain in the butt. Take this little piece here, your firing pin block, take that out, set that to the side. You got your extractor, and now you have the fully bare slide here. You can see all the way through. I'm not going to go in depth as cleaning the channel. You have a channel liner in there. Some people like to take that out, as you see there. If you do want to take it out, the best way I'd recommend it is get something like, as archaic as it is, get something like a Allen key, shove it in the hole, flex down on it. So go like this, right? Flexing, pushing up, and then pull out. What that'll do is it'll act as a hinge point, basically eat into the plastic, and as you're pulling out, it will take the channel liner with it. But you don't want to do that and then reinsert it because that will mar up your channel liner. So only do that if you're replacing it. But here you can see we have the bare slide, and now we're going to do the same exact procedure again, as just taking your rubbing alcohol, getting a little douse of it. Nothing too crazy. Just gonna go over every little surface here. I know there's somebody in the comments gonna say, "Oh, you shouldn't use isopropyl rubbing alcohol, or shouldn't do whatever, and it's gonna affect the finish, affect whatever." It's like, no, I mean, it's good enough for sensitive electronics. Generally speaking, should be good enough for this. Again, I'm giving it an in-depth cleaning, right? But I'm giving it more of a once over. And this is also a good time I'd recommend just to visually inspect everything, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. The parts aren't like some cheap Chinesium BS that whoever the previous owner replaced something with. Because just like a car, when you buy a used car, you don't know what was really done to it. You have the service records, you know it runs and drives, but you don't really know, right? So this is a good moment to kind of see, okay, hey, did someone, mess up and JB weld the front sight screw, right? I've seen that done, which was terrifying because it's like, oh boy, if someone JB welded their gun, Lord only knows what else they did. Get these rails I cleaned out. Get this rear, and the rubbing alcohol is gonna kind of dissolve a little bit of stuff here. You can see there, just from wiping some of the internals down. Again, that's mostly carbon. Fairly clean gun considering again being a used gun here. Just gotta get some more. And I don't know about you guys, but well, if you stuck around this long, you either must love hearing my voice or first time and happen to find my channel, in which case, thank you for sticking around this long if you did. But yeah, I find this for me to be somewhat therapeutic more than anything. Just kind of running your gun through its paces of just cleaning, just the methodicalness of it. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm weird like that. But it's enjoyable. Some people hate cleaning their guns because they say, oh, it's more of a chore than anything. But as to each his own, right? So we're just gonna take that. You have like a little surface off here. Get the edges of the slide, edges of the front sight. Get that outer edge there. You can see it's starting to get some fingerprints, but that's good because it means that it is basically stripped all the oil, all the contaminants, all the items that were on it potentially previously here. Get those rear sights. I've seen ones where the rear sights were just gummed up with crap where they were perfectly fine, but they're just gummed up with crap. No other finer way to put it, right? So now we have a fully cleaned slide here. There are some still, wear marks, some like little imperfections, what have you, but overall, nothing too bad. So that is the slide now disassembled. Cap on the rubbing alcohol so it doesn't go everywhere. And now the reassembly of most parts. Now, with the slide, as you're reassembling, you're going to want to use a little bit of oil in certain places since we stripped everything out everywhere. I highly recommend Gun Lube Slip 2000. It's my overall cleaner lubricator for everything, right? Because it lubricates, cleans, and protects. Best stuff ever, non-toxic, and it just works. Gives the ever so lightest thin film of oil, and then take clean rag, some sort, right, to be able to wipe everything down and take that oil rag and throw it next to the furnace, right? No. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to again give a visual inspection here and make sure everything is simpatico with the firing pin, and going to just take a little bit of oil, put it on there. Now, there's Glock manuals. There's people out there that say don't ever put oil on the firing pin, right? Um, Yes, but considering everything's been kind of stripped off, just ever so slightest is not going to hurt it. I think what they worry about is having too much oil in there. Um, but just ever so slightest thin film here. Same thing. This part was generally clean. You could clean this, but I saw it was clean before. Um, but I always put ever so slightest. I'm talking like, barely anything, not even registering really on camera, right? But ever so slightest. And then when you have a little CLP on your fingers, just kind of, again, rub each little part, drop that partially in there. You see here our um, extractor. Not too crazy, just rub a little bit of oil on there, put the slightest little dash on there, just to give it a very thin film, a very thin coat. Because I'll keep saying it, our goal is to not douse in oil, but just to give it the ever so slightest thin film. And you can see in there, again, I didn't clean this because I saw it was clean already, but you can put your little liner there, or your liner and your extractor. So have that there. Gonna line that back up, put it in there like so. Push that up against it. Here you go. You have your firing pin. Again, I always like to oil a little bit of springs. Nothing too crazy. Just the ever so slightest thin film of oil. Boy, again, appreciate you for sticking around this long. Drop that in. Don't want to pop out, but you may need to push forward a little bit. Sometimes remove it. In this case, we got to pull the firing pin back a little bit. Take your pseudo punch, push down, push in there, get it nice and flat and flush, release, and you're all set. I like to just give for my own volition here, just a little function check here. Push the firing pin block down. And as everything's pushed in, just make sure that firing pin is protruding. And then make sure after you push everything back in, it's not protruding. And same thing for your extractor. Make sure nothing's popping out there. Now you have your pin, have your back plate here. So then you're just going to slide that back plate in. You can push down with your finger. Usually never works for me, so then I'll take a little tool. It is a bit of a fine thing, right? Rest it on the edge here. Goof it up on camera. Preload it. Push down on that channel liner. There you go. Push down on your extractor spring. You see there, push down those two as it gets past. Run it home till it clicks. Now you're all set. So that's all good. Take your oil. Again, we are re-oiling here. And I just go over every single surface we removed everything from. And once we wipe it off, it's going to leave that thin film, right? But just take a bit, have it get soaked in. You'll notice it will kind of start, like I said, soaking in to the finish, considering we just removed everything. So it's going to want to absorb it. Get your channels there, or your serrations. And sorry, guys, about all the misnaming of things, but you guys know what I mean. And if not, I'm sorry. Just going to get all that nice and oiled up. feel like there's some ASMR in here, or some type of weird type of fetish going on here. Okay, no judgment, safe space, whatever you want to call it. Back, and we're just coating every little bit of metal. I'm going here, put like a little drop there, drop on the rails, little drop on the rails. Probably using a bit too much, but that's okay. Again, my whole goal is not standard maintenance. It is lubricating or recoating all the surfaces. Now, Glocks don't really rust because they are nitrided, which is it's not a finish. It's actually a treatment for the metal that permeates below the metal structure to prevent rust. So you don't really have to worry about it rusting. But guns like to be lubricated in one way, shape, or form. So we're just getting every little nook and cranny. You can use a brush, you can use whatever you like, but we're just coating every one of these little surfaces here. And then the rag will pick up the rest. So cool. So every little surface is clean up there. Leave that on the side for a second. Take your barrel, just look down, make sure, see if there's any type of weirdness inside. For me, say here, trying to show you guys. Lands and grooves, everything looks simpatico. No real issues there, no carbon, no grime. So this doesn't really need too much, but again, same treatment. A little bit of oil across everything. Cover every surface. Top of the barrel hood, so that way that doesn't get too much wear. You definitely see this gun wasn't even, it was shot very infrequently. Barrel does match all the parts and everything, right? But there's almost always wear on here. That's a good way to tell how worn a gun is, by how much of the finish of the barrel hood has come off. I have heard and seen some guns, people say, oh, well, my gun never has it. And it's like, oh, well, then it's probably just a well designed, well fit gun. Every gun's a little different. I put a little bit in the locking block assembly here. That's all lubed up. Take your recoil spring, ever so slight. Again, I'm pretty sure in the Glock manual they say don't do that. It, a little bit of oil is not going to kill it, and I like having the peace of mind knowing it's oiled, right? So now everything that's oily and slippery, and take that, slide that back in. Actually, you have two ways you can do this too. You can slide that back in and just let it go as is, leave the parts oiled. Actually, for this, because I am seeing that I did use quite a little bit too much extra. So I'm going to take a rag here. Just going to give it a quick little wipe down. Nothing too crazy. Again, it will leave on the surface there. We're not going to get in the guide rails. We're not going to worry about it too much there. There you can see it still has the coat, but it's definitely not drenched as it was, right? Take your barrel, slide your barrel in, recoil spring, slide that in. And then the slide is pretty much done except for the final little wipe. Take your frame, take a little bit of oil. I like to drop just a little bit. Again, I'm like ever so slightly tapping it, just barely twisting the nozzle, right? It's getting like a dot. Cool. Back here on the trigger, probably maybe a little bit more. Come on. It's a little bit too much there. Need a lot. Just a little bit there. Little spring. And these little parts you don't want to get too oiled up, ever so slightly, and you could do it out of order like how I did, or not like how I did it, right? You can just take you do all this when it's all disassembled. That one, just visually wipe everything down just ever so slightly. Take that recoil bar. Cool. Okay. Nice and lubricated. Ever so slightly on parts that move together. It's always good just to have ever so slightest bit of oil. If the part touches, should have oil in it, my opinion. So we got that. We don't need to do the magazine release. The rails are already lubed up from the slide. You see the guns got a little bit of lube on. That's okay because it'll be during the final wipe down. Take it, slide it all back together. And now, the fun part, get the final wipe down, use a different rag. Obviously, don't want your grip to be oily, but thankfully, Glocks are pretty solvent resistant. As you see, it just comes right off. Get the final wipe down, just with everything. Bits off, get the front. And you see from where we started to where now, the finish has gotten noticeably darker because the oil has permeated, especially on these Gen 4s with their coating, has permeated down a bit, soaked in, so it has gotten darker, and it'll provide like a little bit of lubricity, a little bit of protection overall. But with that, you now have face it function check, make sure it locks back. Did. Fires, resets, resets again. Cool. Good. A little hesitation you're saying is result of that tape. um, but yeah. So now as you can see here, moving around, gun is looking much cleaner. Got all the gunk out. Looks pretty much brand new. Cleaned up like a shiny penny. You can see the wear marks are still there, but they're a little bit less noticeable, a little bit less intrusive. Have a little bit of oil there I have to clean up. Same thing with like a little finish wear here, but it generally becomes a lot less noticeable. But that, guys, is the in-depth video on how to clean your gun, and just a really kind of relaxing therapeutic for me. As you see here, it takes about if you're not talking as much as I am and just kind of sitting down and really getting to it, it takes about a half an hour to do a full disassembly. But I recommend doing it at least once a year, potentially more, depending on if you throw it in the mud or what have you. But you see, it's generally easy, and a Glock's a Glock's a Glock. So if you do it on a 26, you can do it on a 34 or 19, 41, what have you, right? Just it's all going to be a little bit different, but essentially functionally the same. So don't let it daunt you. And I hope you enjoy this video. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you stuck around for this long, claps out to you. Appreciate it. But I hope everyone's having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. Thank you to that solo watcher who's stuck around this long. But I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.